going, folks? Welcome to the Saturday Scoreboard here on Heart of Ohio Sports. Nate Mullins live inside Studio Squared. I got my buddy Josh Morgret sitting beside me. How
What's
we
up,
doing?
brother?
Oh, you know, we're doing great. It's a Saturday morning, and we had an eventful Friday night of football. So, glad to be here with you.
8 weeks done. For those that play for the state championship, they're just halfway through, but for a lot of schools, they're 80% of the way done.
It just goes by so quick. I also want to introduce Greg the Wizard Kinn with us on the controls today. Thanks for joining us here today, Greg.
What up?
So, once again, you're watching on Heart of Ohio Sports. Make sure you share the video, like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff, but give us a share. So, let's talk about football. Let's get into it. Josh, where were you at last night?
I was over at Monroeville for Mapleton, a big game for Monroeville, and then obviously a very emotional game for Mapleton last night, getting back on the field for the first time since the senior died last Friday night. So, pretty emotional night. Nice moment of silence before the game. I think they had some helmet decals, and when they came out for the coin toss, the captains brought her volleyball jersey out, so that was a pretty touching moment. So, pretty emotional night. A big win for Monroeville, though.
Absolutely. And let's talk about that Monroeville team. Obviously, we can break down what an emotional night that was, but we'll give it the respect it deserves. Let's just talk about this Monroeville team, because we've covered them a couple times this year. This is a team that I feel like they're catching everybody off guard. I feel like nobody is taking them seriously until they actually play them, and they're like, wow, we should have taken this team seriously. Tyler Nestor's doing an outstanding job over there.
They were 0-10 last year.
Yeah.
Entered the season with a 15-game losing streak. I thought for sure Lakota had them in week one, and they just came out and played well, and then it's just it never relented. I mean, both of the two losses are a combined 4 points, I think. Overtime with Calvert, where, let's be honest, they probably had Calvert beat that night, maybe on more than one occasion. And then they took care of Seneca East. I know you guys were at that one too. So just incredible turnaround. I don't know if that's Coach of the Year honors in the state or something. I mean, they're 6-2. They're probably playing for a league title in 2 weeks against St. Paul. So just an incredible turnaround for Monroeville. And every time I've seen them, it's the rushing attack. The quarterback, Evan Benfer, and running back Landon Rader, I think combined for 350 last night. I texted Coach Nestor because he kind of asked, and I didn't have him ready. I think it was 45 carries for 345 and 5 touchdowns last night. So, and that's what they've done every game this year. So
I was just gonna say that sounds like a typical Monroeville stat line there.
Yeah. It's just an incredible turnaround. I mean, I sat and talked to Evan Benfer before the season. He was full of confidence, and it's one of those like, okay, you're a kid, you're full of confidence, but they've backed it up. They're 6-2, and like I said, just an incredible season, and interesting to see what happens the last couple of weeks and then into the playoffs for them.
Now, they've got some signature wins on their schedule. You look at, big win over Western Reserve last week.
I was there.
That was a team. Western Reserve was undefeated going into that one, right?
I think just the one loss. They
just
had
the
lost
one
to
loss.
St. Paul, but
okay, so get a big win there. They beat Seneca East earlier in the year, who's 5-3 now. They beat this Mapleton squad. They went toe-to-toe with Calvert earlier in the year. Lucas, they only lost that game by 3 points. So this is a team that, you say, okay, they turned it around, but they've also been battle-tested this year. That's huge when it comes to a playoff run. And this is a team right now where, if the playoffs started today, they're hosting a playoff game.
Yeah, exactly. And
7 seed right now in Region 25.
Yeah, and the biggest thing about the Western game, it doesn't maybe jump off at the score, is Western led that, I think it was 36-23 with less than 6 minutes left.
Wow.
They were down by 2 touchdowns. Benford drives them down, scores. They line the onside kick right off a Western defender and recover it, march down and score. I think they got a stop. Benford scores again, which that put him up at 8. Maybe not the greatest decision where you just take a knee and run the clock out. He comes out on the first play of the next defensive series and has an interception. So 3 touchdowns on the ground and an interception defensively in like a 5-minute span for Benford. The kid is playing phenomenal. I mean, you're talking all conference honors, probably all Ohio honors are coming his way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And he's put together an outstanding campaign this year. So has the entire team. Sitting at 6-2 now. Like I said, number 7 seed in Region 25. Greggy, where were you at last night? You were not with us, which was weird.
It was different, man. But we were over at Mohawk for that Seneca East Mohawk game. big time rivalry matchup.
Usually that is a really good game. That's why we always circle that one on the calendar, because it usually doesn't matter records. Those two teams, they don't like each other, and they get after it.
The first line from the player of the game interview, I think, said it all. He came in and he said, "They don't like us. We don't like them. You know, it is what it is." And I said, it's like that, huh?
It is definitely like that. Seneca East gets the win 30-7 over Mohawk. Now, Greg, was it as lopsided as the score indicates, or was that a closer game and just Seneca East kind of pulled away at the end?
I think honestly, Seneca East dominated that game. I mean, okay, maybe not dominated, but they were totally in control throughout that whole game.
Yeah.
Mohawk, though, did a great job of staying in it. And like I said, that one could have got out of hand early. It could have got real ugly before halftime, but it was 14-7 at half. They did a great job of controlling it. I think it might even been 14-7 close to the start of the fourth. The fourth quarter is where it kind of busted open with, a lot of turnovers and stuff happened, and Seneca East took advantage of that, and Mohawk made too many mistakes. That's why you saw that final score there.
So Seneca East gets the win, 5-3 on the year. Mohawk falls to 1-7. We got some highlights from that game, don't we, Greg?
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and play those?
Yep.
So
right,
this Mohawk squad, I feel sorry for them, because they have just absolutely been through a gauntlet this year with their schedule, and they've been in some really close games. But they've also been, on the other hand, to some lopsided scores as well. So,
like I put in the observer, they had a couple. I think it's 3 games by a total of 12 points. You kind of wonder if they win that first one against Calvert, if that maybe changes the trajectory of the season. I mean, I'm not going to say they're going to be 6-2 because of that win, but the way they lost that one late in the fourth quarter that night when we were all there just started you off on a sour note, and they've never been able to gain steam and put some wins together.
Well, yeah, and we got to see them just a few weeks back at Upper, and that was a close game there too. This is a tough team.
They are.
For sure.
I still believe. I mean, they're definitely, they could be a 4-4 or 5-3 kind of team, but it's just some years, you get those plays that go your way, and some years they don't. And this year's definitely been the year where they haven't nothing's clicked just right for them.
They had some special teams problems last night, as they had a bad snap go over the punter's head, and he had to fall on it at the 1-yard line, which led to a quick Seneca East score. That'll come up here in the highlights, but you saw earlier the blocked punt that they had to fall on top of.
There you go.
Also playing without Kane Heyman.
Yeah,
when you lose your top wide receiver, that never helps.
I think
anything.
Caleb Bish is still out too, isn't he?
I'm not sure on that one. Greg can hopefully tell us that.
Greg,
one.
did Bish play last night?
I do not remember his name being called or seeing it.
Well, if he did play, his name would have been called. Trust me, he makes a lot of plays.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, turnovers last night. Bogner did a great job. He had 2 interceptions last night that were both he was being hit as he threw that.
Yeah.
Kinda. Right here's that block punt. I mean, not block punt. Sorry, that's the high snap there. I mean, yeah.
Now, Josh, in that situation, if you're the punter, now nothing against the kid, it's such a snap decision. But what is the right play there? Do you fall on the ball there at the 1-yard line, or do you kick it through the back of the end zone and just take the safety?
I mean, he was in a position just to pick it up and go into the. You don't even need to kick it. He was right there. I mean, I definitely see your point. It's probably better to give up 2 there, but yeah, it's such a. If you're not prepared for that thought and that decision that quickly, you're not going to make it.
I know, and that's why I said
You're
you
spot
can't
on,
fault
though.
the kid. You cannot fault the kid at all, because
You're
it's just,
spot on.
I love that player right there. It's a little fake handoff, and he did a toss inside. Oh, I love that trickery there. Some great play calls from both teams last night, trying to play to their strengths, get something moving. And Seneca East, I'd like to see their total yardage from last night, because it seemed like they went up and down that field.
look at the little jump pass from Foots. Little Tebow action there.
We saw it all.
That's cool.
With a jump pass.
They're gaining steam.
Yeah, Seneca East is another team. We'll talk about them real quick here. So 3 straight wins: Buckeye Central, Bucyrus, and then Mohawk. Now, when we were looking at the paper and looking at kind of the matchup on paper, Seneca East had a couple of easier games, if you will. I mean, no game is easy, obviously. You still got to win, but you had Buckeye Central and Bucyrus back-to-back weeks, which for them, they took care of business handily, 42-14, 44-14. But then, you look at Mohawk on the other side, they had a couple of pretty tough matchups coming into that when they played played Winford and then Upper Sandusky and then Cary before Seneca East. So I was thinking, all right, they've played some tough matchups. That should have them ready to play for this one. And Seneca East, maybe they're overlooking Mohawk a little bit, coming off a couple of easy wins. Not easy, but the score would indicate they were easy. But, it's just the way I saw this on paper, I thought, man, this is going to be a close game. I think, with homecoming night being in Sycamore, the Mohawk Warriors might actually have something here. They could actually pull this one off. I was actually feeling confident in Mohawk's chances yesterday when we sent the crew off. I'm like, you guys are gonna have a great game. I feel like that's gonna be a good one, and it just never materialized.
Yeah, it felt like Seneca East was just punching, and Mohawk was eating the punches, but they couldn't really deliver many punches back. They had a couple good drives that, like I said, they were stifled and stalled out by, the quarterback pressure. They just couldn't keep the quarterback clean in the pocket, and he couldn't deliver the ball when he needed to, and that's kind of the story of the game there.
Exactly. So there were some other games that happened in the area. We were at the Columbian Bellevue game. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Calvert took care of business against Woodmore 49-0. I know a lot of people were messaging us before the game started and during the game. And where do I find the Calvert game? Well, sorry, folks. That we knew was going to be pretty much over by halftime, and it was 35-0 at halftime. So it comes down to a business decision, folks. I really want to be at every Calvert game, and I know parents don't want to make the trip if they don't have to. I get that, but it's about ratings for us, and when people stop watching after halftime, that's not a good game for us to cover.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you would have sent me to cover the Calvert game, I would have said the same question. Where's the Calvert game? Because I have no idea where that place is at.
Elmore?
Yeah, Woodmore is kind of it's in Elmore, but it's like
in Elmore. Okay, that's just.
But it's like in between.
I can't keep track
three
of
different
all these.
places. It's kind of in the Fostoria area.
I can't keep track of all these
Woodville,
and Moore
Fremont
schools and all that. Yeah, all these schools up there where they're just like something more.
I've been to Woodmore High School. It's actually a really nice field.
They have great facilities.
They have two. It's basically two full press boxes,
not knocking
one on
them
each
at all.
side.
And Greggy was even pointing out they have an inflatable that they have the kids run out of. Giant Wildcats
That is
inflatable.
true.
So, I mean, it's...
You're not going to tell what else I pointed out?
No. Go ahead, Greg. You can tell.
I said, you can't have a giant inflatable unless you win, and you got to be good. You got to earn that. I'm just talking crap, but
TU in a little bit will have their dragon that they run out of, but they're good, though.
I love me a giant inflatable. Me and Nate definitely bounced around the idea of getting one for the Eagles team.
We wanted to get one for the Eagles team. I thought that would have been so cool. But we always try to take it to the next level for that team, man. We try to make it feel big time for them kids. So Sandusky, Clyde. That one was kind of a surprise for me. We'll talk Calvert, obviously, big win for them. Moving on, they'll face, I believe, this week they have Willard. We'll be there at Frost Calanal, covering that one. But this Calvert team is just steamrolling people right now. And, they took care of business last week against Margaretta after getting tested. They really haven't been tested a whole lot other than weeks 1 and 2. They have kind of controlled the pace in every game since week 2 that they've been in. This Willard game, I feel like is going to be a little bit more of the same. Willard might have a chance to put up some points, but Calvert's going to put up a lot more points.
Yeah.
And just the way this has played out as far as the season so far. But you look at the end of the season, that one's looming on the horizon. In week 10, we'll be there,
Everybody
folks.
knew it.
We have our seat reserved at Hopewell Loudon Chieftain Stadium for Calvert versus Hopewell for what figures to be the SBC River Championship.
Yeah, I don't think either team's losing next week. No. You can't ask for more than that. A league title, 2 top 10 teams in the state. They've been in the top 10 of the poll voting every week.
Rightfully so.
I try not to reveal my entire ballot, but I've definitely had them both in my top 10 every single week.
Right. Nice.
I think Hopewell is creeping up there in the top 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So that's a tremendous game that's coming.
I'm beyond excited that we get to be there for that match.
Yeah.
Yes.
We weren't originally going to be there. So
yeah, that's tremendous for the fans that you and Coach Kyle Truglia were able to figure that out. And
yes.
I think a lot of people are going to love it. I think when I get home from whatever game I'm at that night, I'm going to come home and watch your game.
Yes.
I
really want to give a big shout out and a thank you to Brian Calatrulio and the entire staff over there at Hopewell for graciously opening their doors, allowing us to come over and cover that game. Because it's a game that everybody wants to be at,
Yeah.
and we're gonna have it for you right here on Heart of Ohio Sports.
yeah.
It's gonna be a
Tremendous.
big one. So we'll talk about the other games. I mentioned the Sandusky-Clyde game. That was close throughout the entire game. I kept watching on Score Stream, and I'm like, man, this is just like Sandusky's not going away, and Clyde is definitely staying right there with them. I think it was 8-6 at halftime
Yeah,
or something.
ugly.
Ended up 32-22. Sandusky picking up the win. Now, this Blue Streaks team is surprising some people this year. They hung tough with Tiffin Columbian, and they've only had a couple losses on the season. They're 5-3. They lost to Columbian, then they lost their first 2 games of the year against Clay and Fremont Ross. But they've been putting up some points this year, a lot of points.
Yeah, and I think the losses early in the year were both on like last second plays. Like the Clay was like as time expired maybe, and then Ross scored late in the fourth quarter to beat them.
Well, you could say that loss against Columbian was a last-second loss.
That's
'cause
true,
They
yeah.
spiked the ball with 20 seconds left.
True. But last night, I don't know if you saw the details. Billy Haynes' stories in the AT today. Clyde is driving and they turn it over on downs. Sandusky basically needs to run out the clock. Went out of bounds on a second down play, which you don't do, and then fumbled on third down. So Clyde gets another chance. Clyde actually gets down to the 2. They have a nice pass play, a nice pump fake. If you see Billy's video from the game, and he goes out at the 2. He's pretty close to scoring. Next play, Clyde goes to run the ball down 3. We're talking like 20 seconds left. Fumbles it. Defender literally picks it up in stride to the house. So it says it's a 10-point win, but Clyde was 2 yards away from taking the lead. So
Wow.
tremendous game. That's a really tough loss for Clyde after what happened last week too. That would have been a nice bounce back win.
For sure.
Like I said, it ended up being, I think it was like a 95-yard fumble recovery. I mean, he's kind of picks it up in
That's
stride.
rough.
It bounces right in his hand, and obviously there's nothing but turf in front of him. So
That
that's a
is
tough loss for Coach Carter
rough.
and the Flyers.
Yeah. That's a
Tremendous
rough way
story
to
by
lose a
Billy.
game,
If you
man.
get the chance, go read Billy's story today. It's a great story and great perspective on a big win for Sandusky.
So Sandusky moves to 5-3. They face Perkins this week. That's a crosstown rivalry game, and
I think that's going to be interesting.
I think it's going to be a lot more interesting than people think. But
I think
we'll see.
that'd be fun. Like that'd be like the
That's-
classic
yeah.
Calvert Columbian playing football.
Oh,
yeah, it is. There's a lot of. It's not hatred, but it's a lot of school pride and
Yeah.
city pride in the city of Sandusky, and
Oh, for sure. You want to be the better team in
yeah,
the city.
yeah. You don't want Perkins running over you if you're Sandusky, and that's all Perkins has done to teams this year.
Speaking of Perkins, 52-3 win over Norwalk. That's Tiffin Columbian's next opponent. Will be there with the X Stream over there in Norwalk.
Yeah.
So make sure you tune in for that one. Dom Helmstetter, Zach Dillon will be back on the call with Connor Roush. That one should be a good game. I think Norwalk's had kind of a down year,
Yeah,
but they're building something.
yeah, he is.
They're trying to get back to the level of expectations, but not quite there yet. But Tiffin Columbian takes on Norwalk this week, and then they have the matchup looming at the end of the
one with
year for them
Perkins.
as well with Sandusky Perkins. So we'll talk about that Columbian game. We were there last night as they took on Bellevue, and this one was well in hand throughout. Columbian came down and scored on their first possession. They did hold Bellevue scoreless on their very first possession, and then Columbian comes out, takes it down the field, scores 92-yard touchdown drive for the first drive of the game for Columbian. Then Bellevue gets the ball back, goes all the way down, scores, but then misses the extra point. I believe it was blocked. I think Brady Gooding got a hand on it. So, they get 7-6. Columbian gets the ball back, right down the field, scores. Bellevue gets the ball, puts a little bit of a drive together, but then they couldn't get anything going. And then next thing you know, it's 28-6 halftime score. And we'll go through the highlights. Greg, you got those highlights, right, from last night?
Here we go.
Yeah, we'll talk about this
Rogo.
while we're going through the highlights
In
here.
the
But this is
shotgun.
the first score of the game here. Damian
Handoff,
Brockington punching it in from 5
follows the
yards
beef
out. He had one
and
heck of a ball
finds
game
his way
last
into
night.
the end
Again,
zone. Touchdown, Tiffin
this young
Columbian.
man is just having an outstanding year.
You're talking. I mean, I
Rogo
don't
slings
see
it
how
out on
he
the
doesn't
left, completes it.
garner-
Corper
Got
on the
Probably first
reception,
team All
and
Ohio just
Corper
the year
into
he's
the
put
end
up
zone.
defensively. I put that in the
Touchdown, Tiffin
Observer.
Columbian.
He leads the team with 5
Jack Corper.
interceptions too. So
Exactly.
he's got to be.
From Braden
I don't know
Rogo,
exactly what he's up to.
and
I think he had
punches it in
200
from
last
10
night. If you add him on
yards
to the
And
previous
the
stats, he's probably got to be
on the board once again.
1,500 yards rushing or so
38
by now.
seconds left here in
So
the first quarter.
Well, let's see here. Usually they
Oh,
update
they're going to go for it.
by this time.
yeah, it
Martin
depends on if
swings
Coach
it out
Lutz
left
got him
side,
in
picked
from
off.
last night.
Interception
Yep, they're in.
by that
He's up
Tennessee
to
defense.
1,300 160
believe
yards
that's
on the
A.J. Hickman.
season.
It's not bad.
Hickman with another
is, number
interception
8,
there last
A.J.
night. What's that?
Hickman.
3 weeks
3
in a row.
weeks in a row for A.J. Hickman with interceptions on defense. He's doing a great job out there for him.
Nate, you're seeing it more than I am. Is the defense coming along?
I do think so.
You're talking about interceptions. That's 3 weeks in a row. I just noted Brockington has some, and I think they had 3 or 4 last week against Clyde.
They're going to give up yards.
I'm getting excited about this. I haven't got to see it either.
Oh, yeah. See, they're going to give up yards. They have a bend but don't break mentality, but they're very opportunistic. That's one thing I've noticed about this defense. They will make plays when the plays are there to be made. A lot of times it's, crucial situations when they make these plays. Like, look at this one.
But he's going to be stopped right at
End of the half.
Oh, that was the
They
one.
come up with a big stop right there before the end of the half to shut down Bellevue right at the goal line, pretty much. But yeah, they've had opportunities where they come up with a big turnover. They get the ball back for the. Look at this catch by Brady Good.
Wow.
Did he catch it?
Wow.
I would not want to have to defend for that 3-headed monster they have with Corporate, Gooding, and Rogo at wide receiver. That is,
Yeah.
and Braden obviously using
Look at the little. That's how they got the 2 point.
That's smooth.
get that on film, make a team, make sure they're prepared for that. That's smart. I like that. Scoring more points against Bellevue is not a bad thing either. in
I like
my
that.
eye.
That was like almost like triple trickery there.
Oh, geez, that's not even fair.
Touchdown.
That was
He's
on
like-
4th down, by the way.
He's
4th
like
and
5 yards past the defender.
That was a 4th and 5 play right there where they just bomb it for the touchdown.
It worked.
And that's the thing. When you have the balance that they have, Damian Brockington, you talk about averaging 170 yards per game at this point in the season. Those are numbers that, you see after a couple games, you're like, oh, wow, look at that.
Yeah.
After 8 games, he's still averaging 170 yards a game. When you have that balance, that's why you see plays like that where Brady Gooding's streaking all by himself.
Yeah.
That's set up by a play action. And it's the same look they've been giving opponents all year where this is a handoff. We're going to bring the tight end over here. We're going to bring the wide receiver in motion. He settles in on the side of the formation, and they're going to think that we're going to run it either behind them or off the weak side. Nope. Hey, guess what? Play action. Boom, bomb, wide open. It's been happening all year.
Offense has been so good this year.
And they've done a great job. I still think they're just scratching the surface of what this offense can really do. I think you've seen them put up points this year, but I still think they're saving something.
Yeah.
I think they're saving something for the end of the year. I think they have some
You almost
stuff.
have to.
Yeah, they have. It's like that Ohio State-Michigan game. It's like everybody knows that's coming. You can't show your whole hand.
No.
So you have to save a little bit for the end of the year. I think that's what's going on. I really do.
They're gonna score 14 points and beat Perkins.
No.
You're gonna have to get into the 30s, 40s, good God, maybe even the 50s to beat Perkins. So I think you're
Exactly.
spot on that. I think there's more to it, but dang, it's been pretty good so far.
Yeah.
So
Columbia moves to 7-1. Once again, they face Norwalk next week, the 3-5 Truckers, and then the matchup looming at the end of the year at Frost County Stadium, Sandusky Perkins versus Tiffin Columbian, for what figures to be the SBC Lake Championship. We'll see if Perkins takes care of business against Sandusky. Columbian should take care of business against Norwalk.
Yeah.
And then we'll have our matchup that we all are hoping for. So we'll have 2 championship matchups
That's
right here.
Oh God, I might
on
have
Heart
to,
of Ohio Sports.
I might have to come home and watch both games and not go to bed till like 4 o'clock in the morning.
The great thing is you can put one up on your phone or iPad and put the other one up on the computer or up on your smart TV.
Yeah, don't act like you got one screen in your
That's
house.
what I'm saying. Everybody, you ain't got just one little screen.
Put your
Come
feet
on.
up. Ugh.
Yeah. Both games on YouTube, so you can screen them on your big screen TV. That's the best. When people take pictures and post it online. I had a friend of mine, Ashley Martin, I think, posted last night, and she had her kids sitting in the living room. She's like, it's nice to be able to watch in the warmth of my home rather than sitting out and braving the elements. But that's how you can do it, folks. Take advantage of what we have to offer. I like that. A little thumbs up. Where'd that come from? Did you see that, Greg? I don't know where that came from, but anyways, take advantage of it, folks. I know that it's getting towards the end of the year, and the diehards are going to go. Everybody that wants to be there will be there. But it's the fringe people that are like, I don't know if I want to go sit in this. I'm probably not going to sit for the whole thing. Tune in. watch here on Heart of Ohio Sports. We got you covered. Josh,
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it. I mean, we can run through the rest of the scores, but that's pretty much all from our area. Hopewell Loudon moves on. They are undefeated still, 53-0 over St. Joe. Margaretta, Lakota, that's one that we can kind of touch on. Lakota only 3 points, but those 3 points
Impressive.
are the talk of the internet right now.
Did you have that?
So it was not sent to me, but I was tagged in the video twice.
You want me to try to go see if I can pull it up?
Charlie Stoller was one that had a really good angle of it, and then Coach Lento also shared it as well from the stands.
Let me take a. I'm gonna search real quick, see if I can find it before we.
I
go.
think Coach Lento's angle is pretty good too. So
Yeah.
Brandon, the real deal, Leo.
Yeah, that's our coin nickname for him. You know that.
Man, I mean, this young man.
I don't think you've said what he's done yet. 56 yards. Field goal.
We were trying to save it. It's a suspense.
Oh, my bad.
That's called a tease, Josh. You know,
I
like,
didn't want him to turn it off and be like, are these guys ever going to play the video?
yeah,
No.
it's a
bad.
tease. You know, that's
My
why
bad.
you get people to stick around.
bad.
If you say, "Hey, kick the 56-yard field goal," everybody's like, "Well, I've seen
Okay,
those
56
before."
yards, but you really want to see the video. Don't turn us
You
off.
really do, honestly. Well, here's the thing: in high school, you don't see teams even trying
No.
field goals outside of 50 yards. They're like, we'll just go for it. You
Go
know?
for it, or maybe a pooch punt. Yeah.
No. Well, this was the
confidence.
last play of the second
half,
quarter too.
yeah.
So
Yeah, that's an impressive kick. A couple weeks ago when I was there against Willard, I think he tried. It was like 52 or 53, and there was a timeout before the play. And I asked one of the assistant coaches. I was on the sideline at Lakota. I said, "Do you really think he can make this?" The assistant coach didn't even blink and said, "Well, he makes them for 55 in practice all the time." I'm like,
yeah,
"Well, that was it didn't have quite the trajectory. Willard got in it and ended up blocking it, but." I guess they tried from 58 last week against Gibsonburg and missed. So
And I heard that had. I think some. I don't know if it was a clean miss or if it was somebody got a hand on it or something.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, him and Coach Lento and I talked last year too that he thinks that Leo has the promise to be a big kicker, and he wanted him to get to some camps and stuff. That's where you're really gonna get college coaches and scouts
yeah.
looking at you. So. That's tremendous. I mean, if they weren't seeing him before, 56-yarders.
I should have it here.
he's got it.
Rocket.
The Wizard. Look at that. It only
There
took
we
him
go.
like 2 minutes.
There we go.
I love it.
Last play of the half, like you said.
The real deal, Brandon Leal from 56 yards.
Maybe good from 60 too. Yeah, it did.
Just listen to the sound of that kick.
Listen.
Too. Listen.
You gotta put a little punt in it.
Listen to the sound of it. It sounded like the Astros hitting a trash can out there. Like,
It's a nice kick on grass too.
yeah.
Not on a clean turf.
Is
or
that in
anything.
Margaretta or Lakota?
At Margaretta
So, I mean,
on the road too at the duck pond.
in the duck pond.
Yeah.
Yeah. It gets a little frigid down there too. So,
If he would have kicked on the other end of the field, it might have hit the duck pond. That's where the
I was gonna say, and that's kind of that's slightly open space there too.
Yeah.
And it wasn't windy last night. I'm sure
Yeah.
it was windy up there too.
yeah. So yeah, Brandon Leal with the 56-yarder, but it gets lost in the 20-3 loss for Lakota. They fall now to, I believe they are
they're 4-4.
4-4. Yeah.
No touchdowns.
3 and
since-
5. Sorry, 3 and 5. They are 3 and 5 on the
no
season.
touchdowns since the Willard the Willard win though. So
Yeah.
they got to figure something out. And I see you got their schedule pulled up. They have St. Joe and Woodmore to finish the year. So 2 huge winnable games for them that get them 5 and 5. They'll be in. It looks like they're going to be in the playoffs. So
Yep. So go through the rest of them real quick, and then we got to get out of here. Fostoria 34, Lake 32. Big win for the
win
Redmen.
for Fostoria.
Big win for Fostoria.
Nice stop in the last minute, I think, to secure the win too.
Absolutely. Another close game. We only had a couple close games, but Upper Sandusky 48, Buckeye Central 42. Caden Holman just
Caden Holman that's all.
continues to add to the lore.
Yes, that's a win for them. You probably want to flex your muscle a little more against
Oh, yeah.
Buckeye Central,
Oh,
but
yeah, for sure.
you'll take it. And they need a couple of wins here in the last 2 weeks to get in the playoffs, so that's
Yeah.
one of them.
And then carry over Bucyrus 63-0. That's pretty
Not
much it. That's the score roundup from around the area. Josh, I want to thank you once again for coming on with us this week.
No problem, brother.
Once again, open chair policy. So anytime you want to come on, just shoot me a text. Let me
We'll
know.
do it. Next,
All right.
I know next Saturday I got the University of Findlay at 12, so maybe if it works out, we get in here and rock before I head down 224. So
We'll see. We'll see how that works out. All right. Once again, thanks to the Wizard, Greg Kinn, for keeping us live and making us look good and pulling up that video. He does a great job for us. Thank you for watching. Make sure you share the video. Like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. But hey, sharing the video helps us in more ways that you know. Once again, you've been watching the Saturday Scoreboard on Heart of Ohio Sports. Have a great day, everybody.